Marc Chagall was born Moishe Chagall on the 6th of July 1887.
Well, to me, one of the best parts about Marc Chagall as a painter is that, to paraphrase Picasso, is that he could really paint.
Born in modern-day Belarus, then part of the Russian Empire, he was of Belarusian Jewish origin. Chagall was the eldest of 9 children. In 1906, he moved to St. Petersburg, which was then the capital of the Russian Empire and the center of the country's artistic life with its famous art schools. By 1907, he had begun painting naturalistic self-portraits and landscapes. Chagall stayed in St. Petersburg until 1910, often visiting Vitebsk, where he met his future wife, Bella Rosenfield. Before World War I, he traveled between St. Petersburg, Paris, and Berlin. During this period, he created his own mixture and style of modern art based on his idea of Eastern Europe and Jewish folk culture.
You know, I think of Chagall, the 70s, the 80s, you know, that kind of thing. But really his impact is about a century.
He spent the wartime years in Soviet Belarus, becoming one of the country's most distinguished artists and a member of the modernist avant-garde, founding the Vitebsk Arts College before leaving again for Paris in 1923.
When he moves to Paris, he starts living in a building called the Beehive, which was this dilapidated, horrifying wreck of a building, but it was filled with poets. And he felt that he would have more inspiration living amongst the poets than amongst the other artists.
Through his imagination and strong memories, Chagall was able to use typical motifs and subjects in most of his work.
And this is what gave him his light bulb moment, this question: what would poetry look like?
His tranquil figures and simple gestures helped produce a monumental sense of dignity by translating everyday Jewish rituals into a timeless realm of iconic peacefulness.
It was a starter's pistol for creativity. It was the birth of modern art. It was the first time that we got away from realism.
À Paris, vous savez, les artistes du XXe siècle.
Paris, you know, the artists of the 20th century, the 19th century, when they came to France, they surely experienced a second birth.
He could really paint, and it's that indefinable je ne sais quoi that you see in artists. When they've got it, they've got it.
On the 2nd of September, 1944, Bella died suddenly of a virus infection, which was not treated due to the wartime shortage of medicine. As a result, he stopped all work for many months, and when he did resume painting, his first pictures were concerned with preserving Bella's memory.
Of Ulysse. Il démente l'histoire d'Ulysse. Qu'est-ce que c'était?
Chagall's daughter Ida introduced him to Valentina, Vava, Brodsky, a woman from a similar Russian Jewish background, who had run a successful millinery business in London. She became his secretary, and after a few months agreed to stay only if Chagall married her. The marriage took place in July 1952. By 1946, his artwork was becoming more widely recognized. The Museum of Modern Art in New York had a large exhibition representing 40 years of his work, which gave visitors one of the first complete impressions of the changing nature of his art over the years. The war had ended, and Chagall began making plans to return to Paris. In 1963, Chagall was commissioned to paint the new ceiling for the Paris Opera, Palais Garnier, a majestic 19th century building and national monument.
I've seen photographs of the ceiling of the Paris Opera, the Palais Garnier, and they have a painting, which is not a reproduction. They have the actual study of the original ceiling, which is something like you'd see in an Italian villa. The clouds, the little cherub, the putti circling about.
André Malraux, France's Minister of Culture, wanted something unique and decided Chagall would be the ideal artist.
The decision to paint the ceiling opera was met with a lot of opposition, but like I said, once you've seen it, it was the right thing to do. It is truly a masterpiece.
Chagall continued the project, which took the 77-year-old artist a year to complete. The final canvas was nearly 2,400 square feet and required 440 pounds of paint. It had 5 sections that were glued to polyester panels and hoisted up to the 70-foot ceiling. It was presented to the public on the 23rd of September, 1964. Unanimously, the press declared Chagall's new work to be a great contribution to French culture.
I think that once he painted the ceiling of the Paris Opera, his career was set.
Pablo Picasso said, "When Matisse dies, Chagall will be the only painter left who understands what color is."